Well, Smiles from Black Women TV. Hello, Ella. How's it going?
Hi, doing good. How are you?
Good. So, how much training did you have to do before you started doing this series, knowing you would have to start kicking ass?
Well, thankfully, this was not my first rodeo in the stunt sphere. So I had some previous training. The tricky thing actually on this job was pretty much having to unlearn everything I'd already learned before. I'm so used to doing choreographed fights and very stylistic, sequences that look really good. And this for Jade Wesker, which is a character I play, we wanted her to be as messy and underprepared as possible. So I had to really just sort of take out that mental state of being very trained and bring in this very loose sort of moment by moment decision making character aspects. So it was a lot of a little, but of a lot.
Resident Evil is like it's been a long, long franchise that this is whole something totally new. You don't have to watch the films in
Mhm.
order to catch up with this. But did you? Did you have to get? Did you watch any of the films, play any of the games, just to get an idea as to what you're doing?
So I had already played the games, and I'd watched the movies, so I was very familiar with what was happening, which I think was very useful because we knew the feeling we wanted the audience to get from that classic Resident Evil horror, gore, thriller, blood, crazy monsters aspect to it.
And then you have Tamara, who's playing the younger Jade.
Yes.
Did you guys get to meet on set and just talk about like, okay, I'm gonna be doing this, so by the time you're older, this is my personality.
Absolutely. That's an amazing example of someone who really had such a great grasp on the character straight from the offset. We both knew exactly what we wanted her to be like and the exact things that happened to her that make her who she is in 2036, which is the time I'm in.
From the projects you've done, they're totally different from the others. So, what was the attraction to saying yes to doing this?
I think just how human it felt. It felt very close to home. I'm also a huge fan of the franchise. So 10-year-old me was super happy to say yes. But also the fact that, she's a heroine that makes mistakes. She makes choices in the moment that might seem quite selfish and might not be the best in hindsight. And you love her, you hate her, and that's reading that on script as an actor is something that you're so attracted to and want to dive into.
That's the thing. Initially, when we were looking at Jade as a younger person, we're like, these are brats. This whole thing started because of them. But then you grow, then you go to, grow fond of them. You start feeling sympathy. So by the time we get to
Yes.
the adult Jade, you're like, okay,
You
we see what
understand
she
why
had to
she's,
go through.
yeah.
We understand that a little bit. What did you do to get into character as you played her, knowing that there's somebody else playing you before that?
I think a lot of the conversations that Tamara and I had quite early on, sort of, you know, the small character traits were definitely important, but it was amazing. The writers did such a great job and kind of giving us such a rich text to work with for us to be able to give us so many clues on how the character was supposed to be. That and the fact that, there were a lot of real life parallels with what we were shooting. It was sort of odd shooting a show, which we shot in the middle of the pandemic and cutting the camera about a show that was in the pandemic. So emotionally as well, it was, we felt very immersed, which I think really enhances the experience that the audience get when they watch it.
You've done all the episodes, so to know what comes next, what goes into saying yes to the projects you take?
I always say if I can get through a script in one sitting, it's a yes from me.
Really?
Yes.
And
I've
I
got
was,
to fly through it and I'm like, yep, that's let's get me on the phone. Let's do it.
well, either way, you kicked ass here. I'm sure hopefully we'll see what comes up next. Keep it going. We're here to support. Where are you at? Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Bye.